In this presentation, we're going to record the receipt of payment on invoices and then make the deposit. In other words, we had an invoice or a couple invoices in prior presentations. We're going to record the receipt of the payment on those invoices, and then we'll take that received payment and make the deposit for them. Let's zoom into it with Xero. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars dashboard. Let's go ahead and open up our trial balance first. And we will be working with a trial balance here because we have seen these reports before. We're just going to do two of them at a time. So we're going to go to the trial balance, which will make it a little bit easier, a little bit faster for us to go back and forth and see the effect on the accounts for the financial statements. Once that populates, I'm going to right click on the tab up top and we're going to duplicate the tab up top. We'll have the trial balance on the right and then we'll have the data input on the left. Let's take a look at the old flow chart in QuickBooks Desktop. We're just considering the flow chart in QuickBooks Desktop to see what has happened thus far. So we had an invoice, so we created an invoice. That invoice was populated from the purchase order, but at this point in time, we're down to just the standard invoice process. So now we have the invoice. We want to then receive the payment on it. So that's going to be our next step. We're going to connect the received payment from the invoice. Once we're at this step, like always, we have the question as to whether we want to take that payment to put it directly into the checking account, which we can do as long as it's going to appear in that format on the bank statement so that we can reconcile, or we can put it into our clearing account at that point and then go to the bank and do another step and put it into the bank in the same format as it will appear on the bank statement. I'm going to do the more complex two-step method just to demonstrate how that would work. If it's going to appear on the bank statement in the same format as you would deposit it directly from the customer, then you can put it directly into the checking account and that'll be easier for you to do. So I'm going to go back over and let's see what happens here. We're going to go back to the trial balance. Let's go ahead and go down to the January, because it's January 2020, and update that report. And what's going to happen when we do this? Well, first we're going to say that we're going to put it into a clearing account, which isn't here because it's at a zero balance, but the clearing account is going to go up for the checking account. And then the other side is going to be decreasing the receivable for the people that owe us money when we get the payment. So then I'm going to go back to the first tab. Let's then go to the dashboard. So we're going to go back on over to the dashboard and we're going to have the receive payment. So that's going to be up top. That's going to be in this little box up top. It's the easiest way to get in there, I believe, for the invoices owed to you. It's nice and up top because we're excited about that one. We want that one up there, tracking who owes us the money. We're going to go into the awaiting payment. So these are the invoices that are awaiting payment because we're going to say that we have now indeed received a payment on it. Now remember, you could kind of check these off if you have multiple of them and possibly record the deposit here. And I'm not going to record this. This is just an example. But note, this is one way that you can kind of batch the deposits together. So then you can kind of make a batch deposit in this way. And that's another way that you can kind of group the deposits and be able to put them into the bank in a similar format or the same format as they will appear on the bank statement. However, you might not be able to do that all the time because you might have, different kind of batchings throughout the day that you're still going to need to use a clearing account to do. So just remember, that's one way that you can do this, where you can kind of cut out this clearing account type of thing. It's another way you can batch things out to get to that last objective of putting it in the bank in the same format as it will be seen on your books. We're going to go to one deposit here. So I'm going to say that we want to be picking up I'm going to uncheck these. I'm going to be picking up this $448.95. So I'm going to select that one for Anderson. So selecting Anderson. And we're going to say that we have received this one now. So down below, we're going to say we have the received payment. I'm going to say it's for the full amount. We got it from the customer now. We got that money in our hands. I'm going to say that the date, let's make it the 28th. It's the date that we got the payment on this invoice from the customer. This is us billing the customer, now receiving payment on it. I'm not going to put it into the checking account, but the clearing account, because I'm imagining this is cash or something like that or whatever that I'm going to batch together along with this cash sales possibly that I made during the day here in our store that we're then going to take to the bank and group all that together. And therefore, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. It would be more difficult in that case to kind of batch them together as we make the deposit without, kind of counting all this information at the end of the day. Then we could have a reference number if we need something. If we need to have any reference here, I'm going to go ahead and add this. When I do, what's going to happen again? Well, it's going to increase the clearing account and it's going to decrease the accounts payable for Anderson. So let's go ahead and add that and check it out. See if it does anything funny. No, it looks good. We're going to go to the trial balance. I knew it wasn't going to do anything funny, but we're going to then go to the update. Let's go to the update up top. Then we have the clearing account pops up. There's the 448. We don't really need to go into it because we can see it right there. That's the full amount that we just deposited. The other side is going to be decreasing the accounts payable. So if we go on in to the accounts payable, we should see the decrease for it. Now note the accounts payable is going to be here by the date of the transaction. So we have the detail with regards to the date of the transaction. We would also need to support this information. We could look at Anderson in particular, the customer, to see Anderson's account being going down by looking at a subledger that would show us, what is owed to us by customer. But I won't do that now because we've seen that in the past. So those are the accounts that are affected here. No effect on the income statement because the income statement was affected when we made the invoice, not when we get the payment on it under the accrual basis. All right, let's go on back and we'll do this again. I'm going to go back on over to the trial balance. And actually, I'm at the trial balance. I'm going to go back to the other tab, the tab on the left where we're going to do stuff. And we're going to be back on the tab to the left. And then we want the other one's going to be from Eric Music. So I'm going to do the same thing now for Eric Music. I'm going to pick this one up. Again, in this scenario, note you could have kind of checked both of them off and had one deposit. But just imagine that if you had these two deposits that are coming from an invoice, possibly, and you're going to be grouping those with deposits from the store, it would be more difficult to kind of deposit just in one thing as it would appear on the bank statement. If you can, you can. If you're scanning these into the system, for example, and you know they're going to appear on your bank statement separately, then you'd want to put them into the bank separately, and you'd be fine. You put them right into the checking account. If you can somehow put them into your bank, and you know that they're going to show up as a group sum, and you could check both of these off and make one deposit with them, great, deposit right into the checking account. If on the other hand you're going to say that these two are going to appear in conjunction with a bunch of deposits that you're going to add during the day for sales in the store that you're going to have to go to the bank and deposit them, then you might have to use a clearing account just to make sure that you have that deposit line up to make the reconciliation as easy as possible. That's what we're practicing here. We're going to go then to the Eric Music then, and we're going to say that this entire deposit was made as well. So we're going to go down to the bottom and say the full amount of the 547 paid. We're going to say the pay date once again at the 28th. We're going to pay it out to the clearing account once again, not put it into the checking account, but the clearing account according to our scenario. We're then going to say add payment, and let's check that one out. So that's going to be increase in the clearing account. Let's go back to the trial balance, update this again. That then will do the same thing. The clearing account has been increased. The accounts receivable would then go down. I won't go into it again. It's the same process. So accounts receivable goes down, clearing account goes up. Now we have this amount of 99645 in the clearing account. We would take that amount that we imagine we have in our hands and any other kind of deposits we would have during the day that came from our store. We would then deposit them into the bank. And as we do so, we're going to take them out of the clearing account, put them into the checking account in accordance with the same format that we expect to see on the bank statement. So let's do that now. I'm just going to transfer it now. I'm going to say, okay, now it's the end of the day. I'm going to go back to the first tab. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And now I'm going to say, now I'm just going to take it out of the undeposited or the clearing account, put it into the checking account. So I'm going to say the plus button up top. We're just simply going to make the transfer for the amount we have in our hands that we're going to put into the bank. We're going to say it's going to be coming out of the clearing account. So it comes out of the clearing account. It's going to be going into the checking account. And then I'm going to say this is going to happen as of the 28th as well. The amount is going to be for the amount of those two deposits, which are 996.4645. All right, I think that's right. 996.45. And then you might want to list the amounts or the invoices or whatnot, which the two amounts are 448.95 and the 547.5, or some kind of reference to the amounts that you're grouping together that could help you out if is some kind of problem to kind of match this stuff up. So then I'm going to say, let's go ahead and transfer that, and that should just take it right out of the clearing account and put it into the checking account. So let's check that out. We're going to go back up top to the banking information. Let's update the report so we can be working with reports that are up to date. We're going to then say the clearing account has disappeared because it's back down to 0, so it's gone. And then we're going to go into the checking account here. Now note, if you want to see detail on a report that's at 0, you could run a general ledger report still and look at the detail even though it has a 0 balance in it. I won't do that now, but we're going to go down here, and then here it is in the bank account. There's the 996.45 that has been included there. If you look at the detail within it, If there's any question with the reconciliation process, the bank statement, you can go into it, and then you have our note in here that gives us the reference of the two numbers that are involved that might help us to kind of have any problems if the bank statement has a different number in it than we had when we put it into our bookkeeping system.